It is arguably one of the most important cases of our time, and yet you probably haven't even heard about it. Business Insider has the report about a court decision in France that, though it may have no legal bearing on the United States, still represents a historic win for the most persecuted group in the Western world. And by that, I am, of course, referring to introverts. Reading from Business Insider, it says, a French court has ruled that companies can't fire their workers for failing to be sufficiently fun, which is, I guess, good news for Ron DeSantis as well. The ruling comes after a man referred to as Mr. T was fired from the Paris consultancy firm Cubic Partners in 2015 for refusing to participate in after-work drinks and team-building activities. According to the court documents, Mr. T joined the firm in February 2011 and was promoted in 2014, but was fired a year later in March 2015 for professional incompetence, specifically his refusal to adhere to the company's fun values. Cubic Partners also said Mr. T was difficult to work with and a poor listener. In a judgment issued on November 9th, the court found that because Mr. T's lack of participation in the company's fun values and critical behavior were reasons cited for his dismissal, he had been wrongfully fired by Cubic Partners. The court ruled that Mr. T was exercising his freedom of expression by refusing to participate in the company's social activities and that performing this fundamental freedom could not be a reason for his dismissal. Now, we're going to kind of look past the unfortunate fact that this man is fighting for his God-given right to not be fun, fighting for his right to not party, you might say. And yet the court has given him the pseudonym Mr. T, which is a very fun nickname. So even while vindicating his right to not be fun, they are still forcing funness on him in a way that I find, frankly, disrespectful. Be that as it may, this man does not want to go to the company parties. He does not want to do the after-hours team building. My God, can you imagine that? Team building while you're on the clock is horrific. When you're supposed to be home and they're telling you to come team build, he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to socialize. He doesn't want to be fun. He wants to be boring, damn it. He wants to go home and get away from all these people, as is his natural human right as enshrined by the Geneva Convention, or as it should have been enshrined at any rate. And I bring this up because it is a rare victory indeed for introverts in Western culture. This is a subject, introversion, that's been on my mind over the last couple of days after fielding a particularly disturbing email from a listener during our Members Block segment, which you have to be a member to watch, by the way, if you're not. And the message came from a woman who was disappointed with her introverted husband because he refused to dance with her. Now, in truth, a reluctance to dance has very little to do with introversion, as I'll explain in a moment. Even so, I support a man's right to not dance as much as I support his right to not give in to the social pressure to have fun with his coworkers. And when it comes to dancing, as I explained to the woman, some of us are born with what I call the dancing instinct, that is the innate desire to convulse our bodies in strange and arbitrary ways as a physical response to music. And some of us are born without that maladaptive and psychotic compulsion. Those without it never feel comfortable dancing, and there's no amount of social pressure or guilt tripping that will change that. But it's a subject of introversion that interests me today. In fact, I talked about this once on the show back in the early days when I was ranting alone in my car, which, as it happens, is in many ways the introvert's ideal format for hosting a podcast. And that show, recorded, I think, like 4 years ago, went semi-viral on YouTube just a few months ago for whatever reason. And ever since then, I've been getting messages from my fellow introverts thanking me for speaking up in defense of our community, if you can even call it a community, because we're all antisocial. And I figure now's a good time to revisit the subject and flesh out a few points, especially in light of this court case. A hard year in the economy means that essential practical gifts will be in high demand this year, so you can give the most essential and practical gift of all, America's best meat and seafood from Good Ranchers. With discounts on orders of 5 boxes or more, you can save on gifts for the whole family. When you give a box of Good Ranchers, you're giving them a true steakhouse experience with a 100% American USDA prime and uppercut choice cuts of beef, chicken, and seafood. Other meat delivery companies and even your local grocery store, they import lower quality meat from overseas. Don't give that to your friends. Don't give your friends a family less than America's best this year. Not sure what to order? Good Ranchers now offers gift cards so you can let your friends and family choose for themselves or give the gift of a subscription and inflation-proof someone's meat budget. So go to goodranchers.com, use promo code Walsh to checkout to get $35 off your gift. That's goodranchers.com, code Walsh for $35 off. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. And we should begin with the most basic point, which is usually lost in these conversations, which is to define what an introvert actually is. And here's the important point. An introvert is not a shy person, not necessarily anyway. A shy person is someone who is nervous or timid in social situations. Shy people have social anxiety. Introverts can be shy, but they need not be. In my case, I'm an introvert without question, but I can get up and speak in front of big crowds of people without any problem. That's not something a shy person can easily do. So I'm not shy, therefore, but I am introverted. How is that possible? Well, because put simply, an introvert is someone for whom socializing is maybe not terrifying, but physically and mentally draining. Okay, that's what we are trying to explain. An introvert is most energized by spending time alone or in much smaller groups, like maybe with their family. An extrovert, on the other hand, is energized by busier and louder and more active social situations. An introvert finds these kinds of social interactions exhausting, while an extrovert finds them invigorating somehow. But here's the important point. Although the extrovert's proclivities are mysterious to me, I still recognize that it isn't wrong. Okay, neither personality type is wrong. There are benefits to both. Introverts tend to be more observant, more thoughtful, better prepared, more self-aware, more intuitive, while extroverts tend to be babbling morons. I'm just kidding, of course, sort of. I mean, extroverts tend to be, they're friendlier, they tend to be more enthusiastic, they tend to be more bold, more assertive. There's some crossover here, of course. For example, I may not be an extrovert, but I don't feel like I'm lacking in assertiveness. Yet, as a general rule, these are how the personality types shake out. The problem is that our culture, for all its talk about tolerance and diversity, actually has very little tolerance for a diversity of personality types. We have very little tolerance for that. And in many contexts, particularly in the school system or in professional environments, et cetera, introverts are looked at with suspicion. Like there's again, especially in the school system, there's one way to be. Like there's one personality type they want you to have. And if you don't have that, then it's suspicious. And they might even put you on drugs to fix it. Or at the very least, you're going to be constantly berated to open up, come out of your shell, talk more. The message is that this way of being, this disposition is somehow incorrect. But it rarely goes the other way. Extroverts are not encouraged to be more introverted. Talkative people are rarely asked to shut their mouths for 5 seconds so that the rest of us can hear something other than their voices for a change. Assumptions are made, though, about the introvert. It isn't assumed that it's assumed that he isn't talking because he's snobbish, stuck up, standoffish, anxious, whatever. It's rarely considered that he might not be talking simply because there is nothing he feels like saying at the moment. That's it. It's just someone says, well, why aren't you talking? I don't feel like saying anything right now. That's it. That's all. I'm not imposing on you. Some people are satisfied to think without verbalizing what they're thinking. There are people who actually enjoy that. They enjoy thinking without having to immediately funnel all of those thoughts out of their mouths and into the world. And these people are called introverts, and there is nothing wrong with them. I think this discomfort with introverts is largely driven by our general discomfort with just quietness. Okay, we live in a very loud culture, and every moment of every day is filled with noise, with activity, with communication, with just lights and sounds and blaring screens and hustle and bustle and everything. There are people who walk around with headphones or earbuds in all day so they never have to endure a single moment of silence. Now, introverts, though, don't have this fear of silence. On the contrary, we crave it. That's when we do our best work. That's when we can think and create and hatch our devious schemes to take over the world. We're not afraid of quiet, but the culture is. And so then is afraid of us, by extension. And that is why the French Mr. T's court victory was so important. And it's why he is not canceled today, but the extroverted oppressors certainly are. And that'll do it for this portion of the show as we move over to the aforementioned members block. Hope to see you there. If not, talk to you on Monday. Godspeed.